this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, I hope you're having an amazing, beautiful, wonderful day. And today I am going to be discussing the 80-20 principle. Now, if you have not heard of this principle, it is also known as Pareto's principle, okay? And it is the principle that 80% of results in life come from 20% of causes. Okay, so 80% of what we feel, experience, and produce is driven by a very small number of inputs. Now, this goes in direct opposition to what capitalism and patriarchy teach us. Those systems teach us that the more we give, the more we will produce. The more effort we put forth, the more hustle that we do, the more grind that we do, the more work that we do, the better we will be. And the issue is that they are on the right side of Pareto's principle. So they are receiving the 80% from the 20% that they put in. So I'm going to explain this a little bit more, okay? So again, this is a law. It was created by someone, well, it was shared by someone named Pareto. I don't know if he created it or not. But let me give you some real life examples, okay? So Vilfredo Pareto noticed in economics and then in his garden. And then researchers started seeing it everywhere. And it kept showing up whether anyone was looking at it or not. Okay, so some real life examples of this 80-20 rule. 20% of clients are typically generating 80% of revenue for any business. Okay, most entrepreneurs are hustling for the wrong 80%. They're hustling for money. They're not hustling to align with their ideal clients. Nutrition does 80% of the work in the body, okay? But most people are focused on the gym. They're focused on Pilates. They're focused on, getting their strength training in, two-a-days. They're focused on movement over nutrition. But the 80% return comes from the 20% investment on the actual plate, okay? Another one is most of, like if you're reading books, right? Most nonfiction books, right? If any book that you're reading, the meat and potatoes of that information of that you can really gain insight from and gain knowledge from in a book is coming from about 20% of the pages. The rest is just supporting material. Okay. So you can stop feeling guilty about not finishing your books. All right. Because you're typically getting that 80% by reading 20% of the book. All right. 20% of the people in your life typically account for 80% of your joy, your growth, your sense of being known. All right. Are you investing in those 20% of people who actually show up for you, who actually reciprocate you? If you're learning a different language, okay, you don't need to learn the whole language all the time. If you know 20% of the most important words, common words that you communicate throughout the day, you can gain 80% understanding and comprehension of conversations. Another example, there are probably multiple ways and multiple streets that you can use to get to where you need to go every day. But the reality is you probably use about 20% of those 80% of the time, right? So there is this theme of 80-20. 20% of what is producing are meaningful results, okay? So the thing is, right, so I am an engineer at heart. So I am always looking to find how can I maximize on this? How can I utilize this principle in my life? Okay, how can I ensure that because here's the other thing. If you're not using 80-20 and you are doing the 20% to get the 80% return, what typically happens, what a lot of people do, is they are focusing on the 80% effort to get 20% result. Oh, it's telling me what I'm doing. I'm like, what is that AI thing? Good morning, Chastity. All right. So the 80% often feels like the right move because it's visible. Okay. It's the thing that you can do. So if I say, okay, I'm going to work out, 6 times this week. That's great. You work out 6 times this week. There's nothing wrong with working out 6 times this week. But you should also be focused on your nutrition 27 times this week, right? If you're consuming 3 meals a day. So if you're consuming 3 meals a day, you need to be focused on those 27 meals over those 7 2-hour workouts. You see what I'm saying? And so most people go to the outward expression of things versus the actual thing that is going to move the needle for them the most. Another example, hustle culture, right? A lot of times in our life, right, we believe that the results that we have received have come from the hustle, have come from the grind, have come from the movement, have come from the action. And we completely discredit the actual time that we spent deciding that this result was non-negotiable, that I am going to be successful in this thing, that this is going to happen for me, that this thing is inevitable, that this thing is what I am doing now. So the decision that we make about things in our life is the 20% that is returning us the 80% on that decision. Although we have a tendency to think it's the actual effort that we put forth towards attaining the result. The result actually happens when you make the decision that it's done. Okay, and this is what my work is about with identity, right? Because instead of trying to use 80%, 90, even 100% of our effort to make things happen in our life, instead of leaning forward that way, we lean back, we be still, and we know that this is already done, that this is who I am. And as this being who I am, this is normal for me. This is natural for me. This is what happens to me. This is just what my life is about. And so we can really hack life in that way. And so that is what my quantum prayer circle is about, is readjusting the identity. The identity is the 20%. Okay. I took some notes, y'all, to make sure I stayed on topic because I know I'll be going all over the place. Okay. So we don't live in a world where everything requires equal effort. Okay. We have something called leverage. God created leverage. And so this is really what the 80-20 rule is about, right? Because even when you're talking about like gardening, for example, okay, really what you're doing is you're taking a seed and you're planting it into the ground, and then you are just cultivating the right environment for that seed. The majority of the results of that fruit are coming from the internal process that is happening. It is not coming from what you are doing to make that seed grow. So the results of our lives are coming from who we are identifying as. And I know this is a paradigm shift for a lot of people to understand. When we can begin to truly accept and understand that the circumstances that we see in our life are not necessarily because of what we have done, but more so because of who we have identified as, that's when life gets really good. Because we start to see and understand that all of the effort, all of the stressing, all of the anxiety, all of the worry is not necessary. And in fact, that is what is creating the circumstances of our lives. So when we begin to identify ourselves as worthy, enough, perfect, complete, whole, the perfect ecosystem, culture, environment, nurture, and support. Yes, yes. When we begin to identify as these things instead of looking to become these things, okay, that's the difference between 80-20. That's the difference between being on which side are you on. Am I going to give 80% just to get 20% return? Or am I going to give 20% to get 80% return? Now, I'm no trader, right? I'm no stockbroker, but those numbers sound pretty good to me. I would rather give 20% and get an 80% return than to give 80% and get a 20% return. I'm muted on Facebook just a heads up. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Facebook is getting on my nerves. Thank you for letting me know that, Hannah. I love you. Yes, God. You know what? fuck Facebook. I'm gonna just end Facebook. I'm not about to play games with Facebook right now. So I want to be on the right side of that, right? And so for me, the right side of that is understanding, wait a minute, I don't need to go out in the world and try to become worthy, perfect, whole, enough, complete, divine. I can remember that I'm already that now. And this is something I talked about a few days ago. Living life as the result, not for the result. Living life as the result and not for the result. So I am allowing life to experience me. Welcome from Pakistan, my dear sister. Yes, God. Okay? Allowing myself to understand that I don't need to do things for a result. I already am the result. I already am the manifestation. My idea, my alignment, my decision about something is the fulfillment of it. Because when we can be still and know that God is in control and that God is handling the logistics. See, this is where human beings go wrong. We try to get all controlling about how things are going to happen. Well, this hasn't happened yet, so this means that about me. This hasn't happened yet, so that means that about me. That's already happened, so that means that. Whole time, we have no clue. We have no clue. We try to make God follow the ego when the natural order of things is for the ego to follow God. The ego is here to be of subservience to God. It's not to vilify the ego. It's not to demonize the ego. We need our ego. Our egos are amazing. It makes us who we are. It makes us brilliant. It makes us funny. It makes us, intelligent. It makes us have our particular perspective, our particular gifts, right? Our gifts are expressed through our ego. But the problem comes in when we believe that the ego takes priority over God and that we can just call on God like a waitress. Well, God, I need a little bit of this right now. And God, I need a little bit of that right now. And God, I need some of that right now. And can you throw in some of that? Instead of acknowledging, God, thank you for giving me everything I need. Thank you for your abundant supply that comes to me in infinite ways, both unexpected and expected, God. Thank you for the ways that miracles find me at every turn, God. Thank you for the way that you allow me to wake up and you allow my body to continue to constantly be moving towards a state of perfect health and wholeness, God. You see the difference between allowing the ego to serve versus trying to get God to serve? The ego, it's the difference. That is the 80-20. So when you are thinking that you are going to have God serve your ego, you are living on the wrong side of 80-20. You're living on the wrong side of it. When you are allowing yourself to surrender and understand that God is in control and that it's already finished and everything is good, very good, and there is no ungood in it, now you release the need to control. You release the need to understand even, right? Because that is what faith is. Faith is following the divine nudges, following the excitement, following the enthusiasm without necessarily understanding why. We don't need to know why all the time. That's a human being's favorite question. But why? But why? But why? Sometimes none of your fucking business. Sometimes because you need to be qualified to expand your identity so that you can receive and hold what it is that God has for you. Okay? Because every single desire that you have came from God. So you don't need to tell God how it's going to happen. It's actually quite preposterous. You don't need to tell God how and why and when and where something should and could happen. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? So most people consume 80% of their spiritual life. They're listening to podcasts. They're listening to this. They're reading books, right? They're actually trying to do what needs to be embodied. All right? And so the Quantum Prayer Circle, which is the community that I've created, this community is for embodiment. This is where we are actually living the thing, okay? And very simple in the prayer community. You wake up, you listen to the prayer, you allow that 20% to seep into your subconscious, your superconscious actually, and then you allow that identity to get you your 80% of results, okay? Your 80% of results are coming from your 20% identity. All right. So when you are telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you're a failure, that you could be doing more, that you should be doing more, that, all of these things, right? You are identifying as not enough yet. You're identifying as not worthy yet. You're identifying as not whole yet. You are making something else responsible for completing you, when the reality is that you're already complete. You're already perfect. You're already whole. I don't care what you've accomplished or have not accomplished yet. Yes, God. Hey, Ease. Yes. So the thing is, most people get caught up trying to project out into the future. Well, once this happens, then I'll be. Once this happens, then I'll be. Once I have this, then I'll be. Once I travel to this, then I'll be. Once I experience this, then I be. No, now, right now, in this moment. And like I say all the time, I don't care if you're in a homeless shelter. I don't care if what disease you've been diagnosed with. You are whole, perfect, worthy, and enough now. And that 20% anchor of identity, 80%, the world is always organizing around who it is that you are being. This is what Joe Dispenza talks about. This is what Neville Goddard talks about. This is what Catherine Ponder talks about. This is what Louise Hayes talks about. This is what everyone is talking about. Wayne Dyer talks about. Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Reverend Ike, okay? They're all talking about the same thing. You have to be identifying as your true nature, which is actually God, which is one with God. When you identify as your true nature, circumstances fall away. Circumstances don't matter anymore. And once you take circumstances and experiences and if then this happens off of the pedestal, right? You stop making them the important thing. You stop making them something that needs to happen in order to become. Once you remove that connection and that resistance to that thing, those things have free. Now you're giving God permission to allow those things to flow to you instead of trying to be control of the who, what, where, when, and why. So this is actually what we're going to be doing in Bali from September 15th through the 21st. We are going to be doing this identity shift in real time. We are going to be immersing ourselves in this new environment, in this new place, with this new mindset, with this fresh perspective, and we are going to be focusing on the 20% that is running everyone's life, which is the inner dialogue. Everyone's trying to change the outside. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get this car. I'm going to live in this house. I'm going to wear these clothes. I'm going to, have this much money. And it's all nonsense. None of that matters if you're still not addressing the identity. What you have will never be enough unless you address the identity. It will never satisfy you. It will never make you happy. You will continue to want and want and want and want more. You will have an insatiable appetite until you address the 20%, which is the identity, which is the concept. Already whole, already perfect, already enough, already happy, already peaceful, already joyful, already accomplished, already successful. Give yourself that, and the world will then give you that. All right, y'all. Yes, God. So I'm jumping on my daily quantum prayer circle call. Would love to have you there. Would love to have you at the retreat. I hope everyone is having a beautiful, wonderful, amazing, fantastic, spectacular, incredible day. And I will catch you next time. Okay? Yes, God. All right, let me jump in here to make sure I'm on time. All right, there we go. They're waiting. They're ready to go. Okay, let me let everybody in. All right, y'all. Enjoy your day too, Chastity. Peace.